Hello aspirants, I welcome you all to daily newspaper analysis of Shankar IAS Academy. Today's date is 3rd of June 2025. Now displayed here are the list of articles that we are going to discuss today. In this first article, we'll be discussing about a very important Buddhist site and using as an opportunity, we'll be revising the basics about Buddhism. Secondly, we'll be talking about Tanzania's geography. We'll be seeing about important physical features of Tanzania. And thirdly, we'll be discussing in detail about Mount Khangchendzonga, the current conflict that is going there. And fourthly, we'll be discussing about the GDP growth, what can be done in order to attain the highest GDP growth. And finally, we'll be saying about the current or the ongoing Russia-Ukraine war. So without any delay, let us get into the first news article discussion. Now look at this news article. This news article talks about a mass yoga session that is going to be held on, June 1 at Thotlakonda Buddhist site, which is in Visakhapatnam. So this particular event, it has actually brought in the blend of India's yogic heritage with the Buddhist spirituality, and that is why this particular event is a very important event. From the Prelims perspective, you have to learn about the basics about Buddhism. So let us use this opportunity to revise about the basics of Buddhism. So let us start with the location and significance of the particular place mentioned in the news article. It is nothing but the Thotlakonda. It is approximately 15 kilometers away from Visakhapatnam and it overlooks Bay of Bengal. And talking about the site, it dates from 3rd century BCE to 3rd century CE. So it has a very significant history when we talk about Buddhism. It is actually a Hinayana Buddhist site where the Theravada tradition has been followed. We'll see about the sects in Buddhism in a slide later. And this particular site, it flourished under Sadavahanas and Andhra Ikshvakus. And talking about this particular site, it was actually discovered through Indian Naval Aerial Survey in 1970s, and currently this particular site is protected by Archaeological Survey of India (ASI). So this particular Buddhist site being in news, it can be asked in preliminary examination. Now let us try to quickly go through the basics about Buddhism. So the founder of this particular Buddhism the religion is Gautama Buddha in 6th century CE. So his birth was in Lumbini and he got enlightenment in Bodh Gaya. And his first sermon happened in Sarnath and his death happened in Kushinagar. Now moving on, talking about very important core principles of Buddhism. There is 4 noble truths. First is dukkha, there is sufferings in life. Then there is samudaya. The suffering in life is based on the desire that we have. Then we have nirodha, meaning the sufferings can be halted by not desiring much. And there is magga, which means we have to follow the 8-fold path in order to get out of the desire and attain salvation. So what is this 8-fold path? Right vision, we should have right intention, right speech, right action, livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. See, all these are not only important from the prelims as well as mains perspective in the history part, but also you can use it in the ethics part as well. You can even use it in essay part in the philosophical region. Now, moving on to the core concepts of Buddhism. Firstly, they believed in karma. So there might be statements which tells Buddhism does not believe in karma. No, they have a lot of belief in karma, which tells every action has a result. And there is Dhamma, they follow the teachings of Buddha, and for that they follow monastic community. So Sangha is there where people go surrender themselves to get themselves rid of the all desire, and they follow the teachings of Buddha to attain salvation. So this is how the core concept of Buddhism actually works. Now, some of other important core concepts include anicca, they believe in impermanence. Secondly, they believe in dukkha, there is obviously sufferings in life. And there is ananta, ananta meaning non-self or no permanent soul. There is no permanent soul is their concept. They did not deny the concept of soul itself. Okay, remember that. And that is nirvana, which means we can attain salvation through enlightenment process. Now here I have mentioned all the four important Buddhist council who convened it, when it was convened, and what exactly happened in the session. You have to remember all this, very very important. It might be asked as a preliminary question. Now moving on, talking about important sects, we have Theravada Buddhism. Theravada is actually a conservative Buddhism. So they follow the exact teachings of Buddha. With time, it has got evolved. The Buddhism itself got evolved, which led to birth of new sects, which include Mahayana, which is liberal sect, and there is Vajrayana, where people aspects to Buddhism. So here, Theravada's important text is Pali Tripitaka, and Mahayana there is Sanskrit Sutras, and for Vajrayana there is Tibetan texts. And remember, this Buddhism was attained its peak due to a lot of things, especially Ashoka's Dhamma. So this the particular religion was spread enormously through different countries through messengers during the Ashoka period, and through the Silk Road traders also. This particular religion has been spread across the world. Their important symbols include stupa, then lotus, then there is Dharmachakra, which is the eightfold path, which tells the eightfold path, then the Bodhi tree as well as lion. So these are important symbols of Buddhism. So based on the discussion, I have framed the prelims question for you. The presence of Chaitya Grihas and Viharas at Thotlakonda indicates. So here the correct answer for the question is option C, a Buddhist monastic settlement. So with these learned points, now let us move on to the next news article discussion. Now look at this news article. The news is that a 22-year-old Tanzanian naval trainee has went missing in the Kochi backwaters. See, from the UPSC prelims perspective, this particular news can be asked in two different dimensions as a question. First thing is that UPSC might ask about Tanzania, the geography of Tanzania and the physical features present there. Secondly, UPSC can ask about what is a backwater and how many backwaters are there in Kerala. So these two ways, this particular news can be asked as a question. So today we are going to focus only on the Tanzania, the location of it, and the geography around it. So let us start with the geography of Tanzania. Tanzania as a country, it has borders with different countries. So in the north, it is bordered by Kenya and Uganda. In the east, it is bordered by Rwanda, Burundi, Democratic Republic of Congo. In the south, it is bordered by Zambia, Malawi, Mozambique, and it has coastal border with Indian Ocean. So these are the borders of Tanzania. Very important thing. You have to remember it. Now talking about the capital of Tanzania, it is Dodoma, and the economical capital is Dar es Salaam. Now talking about very major water bodies, here in this map you can see lot of water bodies. Very important water bodies include Lake Victoria. You can see that in the north. Then in the east it has Tanganyika, and in the south it has Lake Nyasa. So these three are very major water bodies when it comes to Tanzania, and of course you can see that all the lakes has borders with other countries as well. Now talking about the highest peak in this particular Tanzania, it is nothing but Mount Kilimanjaro. Here you can see the exact image of Mount Kilimanjaro. So here the very important thing that you have to remember about Mount Kilimanjaro is that it is a very famous tourist spot. It is a freestanding mountain. So if we can tell that from the base to height, it is the tallest freestanding mountain in the world. And here it is only 3 degrees away from the equator. However, the peak of this particular mountain is covered with snow, which is a very very wonderful and very very astonishing thing. And talking about the flora as well as fauna, the lower slopes are home to a lot of animals. We shall see that later. And this Mount Kilimanjaro is actually a dormant stratovolcano. So for geography, if you want an example, you can quote Mount Kilimanjaro as an example for dormant stratovolcano. Now moving on, let us see about the climate of Tanzania. Here you can see how Tanzania is actually divided. So the coastal regions, so the coastal region actually they have the tropical kind of climate with humid as well as they receive the maximum amount of rainfall like 1000 to 200, 2000 mm of rainfall. And talking about the central plateau, it has semi-arid as well as cooler nights, and the northern highlands it feels the temperate as well as there is snow in Kilimanjaro. So this is about the climate of Tanzania. Now going on talking about the biogeography of Tanzania. See the Tanzania has eastern arc mountains. It has Miombo woodlands. Savanna is there as well as marine ecosystem is there. And talking about very important parks, there is Serengeti, there is Ngorongoro, as well as Selous. These are very important parks in Tanzania, and it is home to all the big fives. The big fives include lion, leopard, elephant, rhino, as well as buffaloes. Now, moving on, talking about the economy as well as natural resources. See, from this perspective, also UPSC asks preliminary questions. So, the agriculture they have the major contribution towards the GDP. Literally 25 to 30 percentage of GDP is agriculture, and 65 to 70 percentage of the workforce in Tanzania they work in agriculture. Second important contributor to GDP is tourism. 17 percentage of tourism is contributed by tourism. The tourist spots include wildlife tourism, there is beaches as well as heritage homes. And the third important thing is the mining. There is gold mining happening, diamond mining happening, as well as Tanzanite is being mined in this particular place. And there is natural gas as well as certain infrastructure like special economic zones, as well as that is DART system. DART system is nothing but a local transport system that has been designed specifically for Tanzania and the Tanzania roads. When we talk about the natural gas, that is offshore fields as well as the LNG plants. So these are very important facts that you have to remember about Tanzania. Now, based on the discussion, I have created a prelims question for you. Let me read out the question. Consider the following statement regarding Mount Kilimanjaro. So the first statement says it is located on the Tanzania-Kenya border. Second statement says it is Africa's highest peak. Third statement says it is a dormant volcano mountain. So here the correct answer for the particular question is option B, 2 and 3 only. Look at this news. This news talks about Mount Khangchendzonga. Now this Mount Khangchendzonga is currently in news because NIMAS, which can be expanded as National Institute of Mountaineering and Adventure Sports. This particular department, it belongs to Defense Department of India. So NIMAS, what they have done is they have climbed Mount Khangchendzonga from the Nepal side. So here comes the issue. Why they have climbed from the Nepal side is because from Sikkim, it is actually a cultural sentiment for Sikkim people. So they do not allow climbing the particular mountain, but Nepal do not have that ban. So instead of NIMAS climbing the mountain from Indian side, they have climbed it from the Nepal side. However, Sikkim people, they have raised protest. Even the chief minister has condemned such act. So this is why Mount Khangchendzonga is in news. So from the prelims perspective, let us learn certain important facts given in the news article. Now this particular issue does not have only the political aspect, it has ethical, cultural as well as ecological dimension. So here, apart from that, there is spiritual importance as well, and that is why the people of Sikkim, they do not allow climbing of Khangchendzonga from the side, and it is actually prohibited under this particular act, Places of Worship Act 1991 of Sikkim. Now there are certain sacred peaks around the world. Let us see them one by one. First one is the Khangchendzonga. Then we have Mauna Kea, we have Paitku, Gankar, Puansam. So from this we can tell that this sacred peak is not only for India but also around the world. And climbing these spiritual or the sacred peaks has different of issues. See, first thing is it violates the ecological spiritual value without any consent from the particular state. Secondly, the region is very ecologically sensitive. especially with the current climate change. The peaks are melting, the water reservoirs are getting polluted. So, because of these reasons, only the climbing is actually banned. And thirdly, they are actually the climate vulnerable ecosystems, and these ecosystems must not be touched by human hands so that it can flourish better. So these are the issues around keeping the place very sacred and not allowing for climbing. Apart from that, indigenous people, they have a knowledge system around the with respect to the region, which should be respected, as well as there is generational conservation knowledge. They conserve the forest. So for all these reasons, we cannot allow people to climb. Now, talking about the legal and policy framework when it comes to right to climb mountain, there are a certain international instrument. For example, we have UNDRIP, which tells there is free, prior, and informed consent when it comes to climbing mountains. And there is ILO Convention 169. It tells the indigenous people they have right. And there is UNDRIP Article 30, which tells ban on military use without consultation. So these are certain international instruments. Now there is national laws as well. When it comes to India, we have Places of Worship Act 1991. Based on that only, this Mount Khangchendzonga has been notified as a sacred place. So here I have mentioned certain recent global cases where people has been protesting for projects in order to prevent the sacredness of that particular place. For example, Hawaii in 2024, a particular important TMT project has been halted due to protest by people, the indigenous people there. And even the Amos Star project, it has been halted by the native Hawaiian resistance. And India, we have INO, it is a neutrino project which is in Tamil Nadu, especially to be specific on the Western Ghats in Theni district of Tamil Nadu. Due to a lot of environmental as well as local opposition, this particular project is being halted right now. And even Bhutan, it has halted or it has banned the climbing of mountainers above 6,000 meters. So they have felt that the region is more sacred, spiritual, and more economically and ecologically important. And in 2003, they made a complete ban for all the cultural as well as ecological concerns. So these are all certain global cases that you have to remember. So in this news article discussion, we saw about a very particular issue. Based on that, I have framed a prelims question for you. Let me read out the question. On the left side, peaks have been given, and the right side, states have been given. The first pair is Khangchendzonga, Uttarakhand. Second pair is Nanda Devi, Arunachal Pradesh. Third pair is Namcha Barwa, and Sikkim. Fourth pair is Goruchin and Jammu and Kashmir. You have to find which of the pairs are correctly matched. So here the correct answer for this particular question is option A. That is Khangchendzonga, it is actually in Sikkim. Nanda Devi, it is in Uttarakhand. And Namcha Barwa, it is in Jammu and Kashmir. And Gorijin, it is actually in Arunachal Pradesh. So here correct answer is option A. Now with these learned points, now let us move on to the next news article discussion. Now look at this article. This article talks about India's economic performance in the year 2024 to 25. So here the article talks about certain things, positive things as well as certain things that we have to focus upon. So we shall see them from the mains perspective in this news article discussion. First thing is we'll see the positive things. See the GDP growth, when we talk about the GDP growth, the real GDP has grown by 6.5% and nominal GDP has grown by 9.8%. For those who don't know, GDP is nothing but the amount of goods and services produced within an economy in a year, within a year. So here there is two different GDPs. First is real GDP and second one is nominal GDP. So here real GDP and nominal GDP comes into picture to calculate the inflation level. So here nominal GDP is something, GDP is calculated on the current prices. So what is the current price? What is the current price of a particular pen? Now it is 10 rupees. And what is the real GDP is a base year will be there. For example, 2012 if we take a base here. On 2012, what is the price of pen? That time the price of pen might be 5 rupees or 8 rupees. So based on this difference only, we can understand the actual inflation, actual growth of the economy, actual growth of money as well. So here we have a positive sign. The real GDP has grown by 6.5 percentage, and the nominal GDP has grown by 9.8 percentage. And there are certain sectors they have leading. For example, there is strong recovery in construction. For a few years back, real estate was too poor and very bad, and now construction they have they are contributing 9.4 percentage annually, and in quarter four alone they have contributed up to 10.8 percentage, which is a very good sign. And there is a steady performance in agriculture as well. It has shown 4.4 percentage annual increase as well as 5.01 percentage in quarter four in the past quarter alone. And services, they remained resilient. India is known for services, especially outsourcing kind of works. And these sectors are key job creators, especially the service sectors. So these are all the positive signs that we have to be proud about. And currently, India has surpassed Japan as the fourth largest economy in the world. Now, moving on to the concern. So, we have seen about the positive things. What are the concerns? First thing is GDP growth at 6.5% is the slowest since the pandemic. And the manufacturing, it has slowed to 4.8 percentage in quarter four, down from 11.3 percentage a year ago. So a year ago there was 11.3 percentage, and now it is only 4.8 percentage when it comes to manufacturing sector, which is a very important concerning thing. And the private consumption, it has rose only 6 percentage despite expected boost from events like Mahakumbh Mela. So we had Mahakumbh Mela this year. However, the private consumption did not rise. So what it will have an impact on economy is that there will be less production. So it will be a vicious cycle. Private consumption is low, then the production will be low, so the wages will be low, and the output will be low, so that the GDP will be also low, which will again reduce the private consumption. So it will become a vicious cycle. Irrespective of events like Mahakumbh Mela, the vicious cycle has not broken, which is a very big concern when it comes to our economy. Now, there are certain critical viewpoints that we have to go through. For example, the 6.5 percentage rise in the real GDP. This might be stable, but it is not sufficient for us to attain the goal that we have. For example, the Viksit Bharat, we are aiming for 2047 to be Viksit Bharat, but to attain that, we require at least 8 percentage or more than 8 percentage. A consistent growth should be there, but we are not having that, which is a very big concern. And the manufacturing sector, it must grow 15 percentage annually to reach 25 percentage GDP share by 2047. So these two things should be done. So here comes the question: what can be done? See, for the first thing, we have to increase GDP. To increase GDP, we first thing we have to concentrate is to concentrate on the manufacturing sector. So the manufacturing sector is like a multiplier. It will give a multiplier effect. The vicious cycle will be broken, and the GDP will perform well. So how to increase the manufacturing sector? So the contribution of manufacturing sector is that we can increase the PLI scheme. We can subsidize a lot more, even more. This will improve the private consumption. If the private consumption increases, the economy will do better, and we can concentrate on ease of doing business. We can bring in lot of policy reforms. We can reduce the hurdles that is actually hindering the private consumption, and then we can concentrate on FDI, and we can concentrate on exports. Currently, we are not concentrate much on exports, which is causing rupee to fall even more, and the economy is not performing well. So we can concentrate on exports, especially there is a concept called import, substituting the imports with local produce. So we should concentrate more on domestic aspects, domestic production aspects, and for that we can even boost the Make in India initiative and bring in lot of indigenous products. So these can be done in order to revive the GDP, and we can attain the 8 percentage or 8 plus percentage of growth, which will help us to attain the Viksit Bharat by 2047. So, based on the things we have discussed, I have created a mains question for you. Let me read out the question. Despite being the fastest growing major economy in the world, India's current growth trajectory may not be sufficient to meet its long term developmental goals. Critically examine. So, you have to give all the positive points first, then the negative points, and you have to give what can be done or the way ahead and give a conclusion. So, write an answer and post it in the comment section so that we can review your answer as well as your peers can review it. So, with these learned points, now let us move on to the next news article discussion. Now look at this news article. This article talks about the ongoing Russia-Ukraine conflict. The article is talking about Ukraine right now because Ukraine has completed its biggest long-range attack of the war with Russia. Now this is there because the Ukraine, it has used smuggled drones to launch a series of major strikes on 40 Russian warplanes at 4 military bases. So we can tell that Ukraine has used drones to enter into the Russian territory. To be precise, they have conducted strikes over 4,000 kilometers into the Russian territory. They have concentrated on for 4 military bases, and they have struck out more than 40 Russian warplanes. So this is actually a major incident, and this particular airstrike has happened just before the peace talks in Istanbul. So these two things give a very big message to the world that Ukraine is ready and Ukraine is back. So we have to learn about the basics about what led to the ongoing conflict that is being right now. So for that we have to go back to 1990s. So when we see about the timeline, in 1990s there was USSR where Ukraine was part of USSR, but in 1990s, early 1990s, there was a huge third largest atomic arsenal in the world. This incident is actually nothing but the Chernobyl incident. So this Chernobyl incident is the hugest incident. We can tell that it even led to the disintegration of USSR into Russia and other countries. So this Chernobyl incident, it even led to displacement of huge number of people and contamination of radiation contamination across miles. Following this incident in 1994, Ukraine, they have handed over all the nuclear weapons to Russia, and in turn Russia has said that it will not annex Ukraine. So the peace has been there until 2014, but in 2014, in February, Ukrainian pro-Russian president, he came out of 2014. He came out of the Ukrainian revolution, and he even rejected a deal with European Union. But the people, the Ukrainian people, they were actually supporting for joining the Western international entities like EU as well as NATO. So this actually gave a shock to Russia. So the Russia was actually fear about Ukraine's pro-West activities, and this eventually led to annexation of Crimea in April 2014. Russia invaded Ukraine and annexed Crimea after a conflict that ended with 13,000 to 14,000 Ukrainian soldiers and civilians lost life. So it does not stop with the annexation of Crimea. Crimea was annexed in order to have access to the ports. Russia have ports, but when there is, the Russia, it extends in the polar region as well. So most of the ports, it will be unusable due to freezing cold, and that is why Russia requires a port which is there with Ukraine. So in order to have access to the ports and to the eastern world, we can tell that Russia purposefully annexed Crimea. So it did not stop there. There were even today separatists being there in Donbas region of Ukraine. So this Donbas region of Ukraine, they are even now asking rights for the Russian-speaking people residing there in Ukraine. However, in 2014 to 2015, peace has been resorted in the region by accords. But again in 2019, what happened was Zelensky was appointed as a president, and Zelensky, while being appointed as a president, he promised to resolve the issue in the Donbas region and work with Putin directly. And he even talked openly of joining NATO, something Russia has been voiced a strong opposition to. So this is the core of the issue which led to war in 2022, and the war is still continuing now. So now coming back to the news article, what does it give a what kind of impact does it give to the global politics? So first thing is there is rise in strategic use of long range drones. So we can see a lot of activities, anti social activities are happening across the world, and the current incident of Ukraine can actually inspire a lot of strategic use of long range drones in the future. This is the first thing. Secondly, it validates Western military aid to Ukraine. So Ukraine has rightfully used the forces that has been offered by the West. So thirdly, it has sent strategic signal to the global powers. So it actually tells a message that Ukraine is not going to withstand all the struggles that has been posed by Russian, which is a very big superpower. And the final thing is it raises a concern about AI-driven autonomous warfare as well. So moving on, we have to look into what can be done. So first thing is we have to push for ceasefire and diplomatic dialogues. And second thing, we have to formulate global drone warfare policies. So this will give us a guideline upon what and where can be drones can be used, and what if the regulations are not met with. And thirdly, we have to invest in cyber and strategic defense infrastructure. Even if long range drone attack is being happening, we have to be secured ourselves. We have to build the cyber security so that the drones can be cut off in the midway, so that both the countries will not have an impact. And finally, we have to enhance the military oversight of emerging technologies. So these things can be done in order to keep ourselves safe from any future conflicts. So that's all you have to know about from this particular news article. Now, before ending the news article discussion, I have an important announcement for you. It is regarding our UPSC GSPCM batch, General Studies Prelims cum Mains batch. So, it is going to start on Delhi on 6th June 2025, and along with that, CSAT batch will be starting on 23rd June 2025. So, you can enroll for this particular batch, and you can get yourself trained for the UPSC examination. So with this note, let us conclude the discussion. If you like the video, hit like, do comment, and don't forget to subscribe to Shankar IAS Academy YouTube channel. Now, thank you so much for listening.